So moving on to our fifth claim then is that Orthodox scribes intentionally changed Scripture at such a high doctrinal level that it is impossible to know for certain if early scribal corruption has occurred in the transmission. So, okay.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Well, so Erdman admits that most changes in the New Testament manuscripts are inconsequential, right? But a central argument in his book, The Orthodox Corruption of Scripture, and in Misquoting Jesus, is that there was an intentional and widespread Orthodox corruption of manuscripts in order to weaken the arguments of those Christian scribes those that the Christian scribes viewed as heretics, right? So in other words, so we're going to make sure that the heretics have no say in this, and so we're going to change things so that we can deal with these heresies.
Right.
Is the idea here, right? So to argue for large-scale corruption, Erdman claims he must assert that he can not only be confident that he knows what the changes were, but also why they were made, right? So those are the two things that he has to kind of show if he's going to make this argument, right? He knows what the changes were, and he knows, why they were made in terms of what doctrine or whatever they were trying to enhance or whatever. Of course, the irony of such confidence in view of his skepticism regarding our inability to recover the wording of the original Testament is obvious.
Right. Two questions then are in order concerning Ehrman's thesis that this is intentional Orthodox corruption was widespread. Yeah. First, how can Ehrman be so sure he knows what the later corruption was if we are not able to get back to what the original, in all probability, actually said?
So there you are. Again, he's trying to have it both ways, right? I don't know what the original is, but I know it was corrupted. Well, how do you know what it was corrupted if you don't know what the original was, right?
Right. Yeah. And once again, Ehrman's argument seems to be contradictory.
Yeah, exactly.
So second, how can Ehrman be so sure he knows what a scribe was thinking? Yeah. And this is done not just with Ehrman, but a lot of skeptical scholars. It's the scholar did this because he couldn't allow this change into it, so he scribbled it out. How do you know that?
Yeah.
You just know that it was copied. The document was copied.
That's all we have. You know. Yeah. Read between the lines.
Yeah. And so we should say here that Ehrman is popularizing what was kind of thought up in the 30s, 40s era by the Walter Bauer, the Bauer hypothesis. So Ehrman's readily admit that he's a believer in this Bauer hypothesis. And once we get done with this section, I'll give you a book to read about that.
Yeah. So, clearly all we have is the texts that were copied, right? But for Ehrman, this is apparently enough to consistently claim that he knows what the scriptures, the scribes who copied these texts, what they were thinking. Right? Ehrman completely lacks confidence in determining the original wording, but has abundant confidence in his ability to decipher the thoughts of scribes about whom he doesn't even know. Right? So they were trying to do this. Well, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Right? Even if Ehrman were correct in all of his examples of widespread Orthodox tampering with the text, which is unlikely, he concludes, or his conclusions would have little impact on the larger question of our ability to recover the original words, right? Since his argument depends on being able to locate the early readings, right? Because you can't know that they were changed unless you know what they were like.
Right. If there was a God before God, we'd want to worship him, right? So if there was a text before the text, let's go seek that one out.
Yeah.
And so Michael J. Kruger and I believe Kostenberger wrote jointly The Heresy of Orthodox, which presents a well laid out Bauer hypothesis, something that Ehrman is popularizing here, and takes it to task. I mean, they really do a really good job of supporting the case against it. And so if you're interested in reading that, I would definitely recommend that book, and even read Bauer's, because they do such a good job of presenting it, and Michael Kruger is always fair with his subject and calling out both the good and the bad. His writings are why I keep recommending it, because they're so good.